And here I am outside the baseball ground in Shaftesbury Street. Behind me here, the main entrance. Over here, already demolished, the old baseball hotel. And next to go, of course, is this building, Derby's baseball ground, due for demolition. So please come inside and join me on a final tour around Derby's baseball ground. And I never thought that I would be standing here in the centre of Derby's baseball ground. It's a cold, wet November morning in 2001, and last week in the Derby Evening Telegraph the news was given that they've granted planning permission for the demolition of the baseball ground. And I thought it was time we came down here to record for posterity this building, this place that has played so much part in the history of the city of Derby. We're not only going to film the pitch, but we're going inside and behind the scenes to the places where famous football stars once trod. And let's take a last walk on this hallowed ground. First of all, in front of me, towards the most historic part, Catcher's Corner, underneath the scoreboard. That's where they used to play baseball. And over here, in front of me now, the Toyota stand. This replaced the Pitchside terrace. And over here, the Normanton stand, still made of wood, condemned by the fire service. Behind it was a little hill, and that's where the players used to change before coming to play football here. And this terrace here, A stand, B stand, and of course the famous C stand. When they demolished the Pitchside terrace, everyone was reseated over here in C stand. And this one here, the Aussie end, the Osmaston end. And in latter times, this is where the away supporters were seated. And this is the view from the back of B stand, the press box. Here I'm sitting where famous newspaper reporters, radio reporters, and of course Radio Derby's Graham Richards sat. This is probably the spot where he sat when he said, "Christie, cool as custard, 1, 2, 3, shoots, goal." This was the famous event when the penalty was scored against Rotherham, which got Derby County out of the 3rd Division. And we're still in B stand, right in front of it. The Vice President's box. Some very famous names on here. Boehmer and Kirkland. Lots more. And of course this one, Tim Parnell. And carrying on towards the director's box. And of course, they've got padded seats. They're much more comfortable. Past the staircase and on to some very famous names here. Stuart Webb, J. Kirkland, Peter Gadsby, and of course Lionel Pickering. And Lionel's even got a little electric fire to keep his feet warm. And next to him, Jim Smith, who also had warm feet. Perhaps you were one of the youngsters that sat here and watched your first ever Derby County football match from this spot, in the Normanton stand, the Junior Rams enclosure. And as a little child, looking up at the pitch puts a totally different light on looking up to football stars, doesn't it? And I'm still sitting in the Normanton stand, and this is probably what sounded the death knell for the baseball ground, wood. And of course, after the Bradford City disaster, the fire brigade took very strict and stringent measures to stop it happening again. And of course, most of this stand, as you can see, still made of wood. And now I'm in the goalmouth in front of the Normanton end, and this is where Peter Shilton, arguably England's best goalkeeper, played his 1000th league football match here at Derby County's baseball ground. And behind me, the Toyota stand, formerly the Co-op stand, and before that it was the Lee stand. All along the top, the executive boxes, and above them, the TV gantry. The businesses of Derby supported Derby County so much in the 80s that all these boxes were soon sold. And so they had to bring this rather strange contraption from the cricket club on Nottingham Road here. They soon sold these executive boxes as well. They also had catering facilities, and this of course added to the corporate entertainment here at the baseball ground. The view from the pop side across the pitch towards the players' tunnel. I'm standing in what was the pop side underneath the Lee stand. This is where Derby County's most vocal support thundered from. In the 70s, cages were put up here to stop pitch invasions. And now look, rows and rows of seats. But at least the cages have come down. And I'm sitting in a white seat. I'm actually sitting on top of the R for Rams that's in the Toyota Lee's stand, and from here the most fantastic panoramic view over the city of Derby. We're right at the top, and this is the executive boxes, but unfortunately Pentagon Vauxhall's box is locked. I can't get in, but I know for a fact that I'm heading towards the gantry, the as it says here, TV gantry, and I've just seen a rather distressing sign here that says safety harness must be worn when working on the roof, but I'm going to try it. I've not come all the way up here for nothing, so I'm just going to wander along this TV gantry, and there's another sign here that says wear safety harness, and I'm not terribly keen on heights, and I know that our cameraman also is not very keen on heights, and it's very, very high, and that's as far as I'm going. I'm going back. I don't like this. And unfortunately, all the executive boxes are locked, but there is a window that opens here, and we're at the back of the Toyota stand, looking out over Derby, and we can see where Lee's Malleable Castings used to be. It's now the Shaftesbury Industrial Estate. And yes, I found one. I've actually got an open box, and this is one of the executive boxes, and if you look through the window there on the side, you can see right the way down to the bottom of the stand all the boxes. And standing here looking out through obviously very dirty windows now, what a fantastic view of the pitch. This is nearly at the end of the Toyota stand. Behind me, the history bit, just here, Catcher's Corner, where they used to play baseball, in between the Aussie end and the Toyota stand. And through the gap here, you can see the grassed area where Robert Maxwell used to land his helicopter. He was probably the most flamboyant chairman that Derby County's ever had. The Aussie end, the Osmaston end, another of Derby County's wooden stands. There's wood, wood, nothing but wood. Hence the fact, of course, that it was condemned by the fire service. They don't use any of these now, only the Toyota stand. And the only life that there is in here now is the pigeons. And look at this, one of the ground staff from Pride Park marking out the ground for tonight's football match. There's an FA Youth Cup match tonight here. I wonder how many more times football is going to be played on this grass. And in between the Aussie end and C stand, the DJ's box. This was used for the pre-match entertainment. They've still got all the equipment in here. They're probably still using it at the moment. And farther up the stairs here, the office for the duty safety officer. And in here, lights are still on, and you can actually see the CCTV monitors. The security people would be here, the police would be in here watching these screens before, during and after a match, of course. But it looks as if we can't get in. That one's locked, and the ground safety officer's room is also locked. So I shall have to come away from here without gaining entry. And the view from the C stand, looking across to Popside, the Toyota stand, and all the people on that side would sing, C stand, give us a song, C stand, give us a song. And of course, in response, everybody would stand on this side and chant, C stand, C stand, C stand. And let's take a bit of a stroll along the back of C stand for the last time, and let's see what wonders we can find. There's the sign. Players, press and officials only. On the right hand side here, the Cambridge suite, gangway E, continuing through here, and we come to the fast food bar, Stadia Catering. One of the jokes, of course, was that they said that the pies that were sold here stayed here from the last match. But what would football be without a pie and a pint? And I think we're reaching locked doors again, so I'm going to have to go back and find another way through to get through to the next stand, B stand. And how do I find my way through to the next bit? Well, I'm not a player, I'm not press, and I'm not official, but it looks as if this is the only way I can get through, so we'll go and have a look. Yep, this is it. Small gymnasium here. Physio and rehab only. And that door looks locked again, so I'll go out and carry on down the corridor. Very padded carpet. And of course, here we have Derby County home dressing room. Music in it. Let's go in and have a look. Still being used to this day. Obviously there's been some rehearsals here. And through to the shower rooms. Hope there's no one in. And the baths. Wonder how old they are. They look pretty old. Showers. through here to more. I presume that I'm now, I may be wrong, but it looks as if I'm probably venturing into the away teams' shower rooms, no ball games, and the away team's dressing room as well. Famous footballers that have changed here in these rooms over all those years. And me coming out of the home dressing room, going down this corridor, past the manager's office on my left hand side, continuing down and past the youth coach's office, turning left to the players' tunnel and following in the footsteps of such Derby greats as Steve Bloomer, Rach Carter, Peter Shilton, Dave Mackay, not forgetting Jackie Stamps, of course, and of course Colin Todd. And here on my left hand side, the dugout where the managers were. And I'm going to have a seat, second one along. The trainer sat here, of course, so he could get out onto the pitch quick, but I'm now sitting where Brian Clough sat, Arthur Cox, Peter Taylor, and of course Jim Smith, all the famous managers of Derby County Football Club. But come and join me, come and sit down here and have a manager's eye view from the dugout of Derby's baseball ground. And let's continue the tour back inside through the players' tunnel. Turning left this time, visiting team officials, dressing rooms. Down here, changing rooms and showers for the match officials. Just the toilet in there. And out, turning right, onwards and forever upwards into the main entrance. The main way into the baseball ground here. This, of course, is where all the visiting match executives would come through here and be greeted by the officials here of Derby County. And the director's room, number 12A, beautifully panelled, and down into the boardroom, the executive decisions that must have been taken around this table and successive tables, of course. It's got its own purpose-built little bar here. And on to the director's lounge and bar, a little empty, rather gaunt, quite warm, still got the panelling, and empty trophy cases, lights flickering, and a nearly empty bar. In fact, it still says Carling Black Label. No such thing anymore. This is where the visiting match executives would be entertained after the match. And we'll go out again and back along the corridor. Very long corridor. Kitchens here. Director's ladies' lounge. No ladies in it. Quite comfortable. Very well decorated. And here, an artist's impression of Derby County's new stadium at Pride Park. And what have we got here? An engraving of the baseball ground in all its glory. Notice the ladies Don't have a bar in here. And a staircase, taking us out, of course, back up. Seats 1 to 15, 16 to 25, and we've returned back to the director's box for a last look. Much as I'd like to pull that Jim Smith sign off here, I won't. I'll leave it to posterity. And the view from A stand. This completes our long journey along the corridors and the stands. I'm sitting here at the top of A stand, surrounded yet again by wood. 3 sides of the baseball ground, of course, made by wood. And what a view of it here, where the seats have been removed. And I'm in the well at the bottom of A stand. Just look how close we are to the pitch. And of course the number of spectators sitting here that ended up with footballers on their lap. This is why they've designed Pride Park Stadium in a similar way, in a horseshoe shape, to still give the impression of the spectators being very close to the action and the pitch. Here was the place designated for the disabled. There was easy access here, up this ramp and through the gates, which gave disabled access to this stadium. And continuing on here to the groundsman's hut. It's more than a hut. It's a breeze block building, and inside some of the implements used here by the groundsman at the stadium. And the gents' toilets at the baseball ground. Who could finish without coming in here? These would usually be full of people chanting and singing. So for the last time before leaving, a last Jimmy Riddle. And I'm now leaving the baseball ground for the last time before it's demolished. The Rams have now moved on to pastures greener in a purpose-built new stadium, Pride Park. But one thing they can never take away from us are the memories that the people of Derby have for their old baseball ground. And a lasting memory, something that's written on the wall here, which is a sentiment passed on from the old baseball ground to Pride Park. Good luck, Rams.